I'll be honest, I thought HAZBIN Hotel's Season 1 villain was underwhelming. For a figure as important to the Bible as Adam himself, he was flat and unsympathetic, which I didn't mind too much, but there wasn't much if any establishment for him. He only appears a few times overall in the season, with him feeling more like a one-off episode villain than an overarching villain, with plans and an overall goal. His reasoning for exterminations is that it's for fun. He doesn't care about redemption of sinners, and doesn't even seem to have any morals or views besides being misogynistic. I don't think that him being a misogynist is a bad thing for the show, especially if you want to view HAZBIN as a satirical version of Christianity. However, that is just his only real personality trait. When I was redesigning Adam, I wanted to make him look more rock star than the original. He has an earring with a crucifix, strong unique eyebrows and stubble. He's bold by choice, mainly since I think that he would have sported many different hairstyles before just going bold on a whim and sticking with it. He didn't have a receding hairline. I also made him darker, as he was said to be made with dust, as well as me believing in evolution and that we as a species probably began in Africa. He doesn't have a dad bod this time, sorry. With not many responsibilities up in heaven, he took to working out in his free time and training his army. He isn't ripped as such, since he's constantly in bulk. He could always make himself look fitter or fatter, but he still applies himself by the rules he knew of his time on Earth, as it's one of the only things that has given him meaning all this time. His wings are massive and designed for gliding and diving. I base them on buzzards, as I feel that more bird of prey symbolism works well for him, especially since some eat snakes. He is better at flying efficiently and quickly than even some angels. Adam just wears fabric around his lower regions, without any chest covering at all in his casual wear, since he wore clothes like that when he was alive, and he finds it uncomfortable to wear shirts and such. He also wears sandals rather than going barefoot when he enters holy buildings in heaven, but he doesn't like his feet being covered the majority of the time. When it's extermination day, he covers his face to hide his identity from the sinners below, who he considers his failed prodigy. He and his army wear white fabric as a symbol of holy light, and also for him to have a visual indicator of how much blood he spilt after the fight. He has a halo, as all risen and angels do, but his is gold on account of his status and amount of power he can draw from God. It's shaped like a crosshair, as his main method of mass destruction involves a highly concentrated beam of light. I'll talk more about his story later, as both he and Lute have a history together, and you can't talk about one without the other. Lute's design, on the other hand, is mainly darker, with a base colour of dark grey and mainly only seen with a helmet on. I didn't base this helmet from any inspirations, though it does resemble the ironclad from Slay the Spire quite a bit. I wanted to go more demonic or bestial rather than humanoid for the Exterminator angel masks, since these masks are both to scare hell residents and to be an inaccurate representation of what angels view demons as. It's common for horns on these masks to bear imp-like strikes. Lute's mask is also composed of one big mouth and very simplified eyes, which indirectly alludes to Lucifer, as he just has a mouth and no eyes. She also has a more sexualized version of the usual Exterminator uniform, with a boob window and no boots. This was edited herself to appeal more to Adam, who doesn't encourage it. Since Adam is more in touch with God in heaven, he is more warm-toned, whereas Lute is the opposite, so she's more grey and desaturated. Her skin was originally white, but hellrot has affected her more than any other extermination angel on record. I'll explain this more later. To explain their story, I'll have to start at the very start, with the Garden of Eden. I will be editing the original text quite a bit for this one, so sorry to those who want biblical accuracy. Originally, Adam and Lilith were introduced into the garden as the first successful prototypes of humanity, designed to take God's image and act closer to him than any other beings made before. Previously rejected prototypes are apes and monkeys, etc. that we see nowadays. Adam and Lilith were both formed from dust, and were let alone to roam freely in the garden in order to gain enough experience for God's true plan, which was then to let them out into the world he created. Problems began when Lilith started insisting that she lay atop Adam instead of the opposite, which angered him, and he convinced God to give him a replacement. While God was creating Eve from Adam's rib, Lilith had disappeared from the garden. God knew why, of course, but Adam still remains confused about it to this day. Eve was introduced to heaven afterwards, and instantly was Adam's dream girl. They had chemistry immediately and fell in love. Lucifer, one of God's angels disguised as a snake, tricked her into eating the fruit of knowledge, and both Adam and Eve had to enter the world. Both Adam and Eve had long lives, with plenty of children, and being prototype humans, instead of regular humans which they produced, they lived for hundreds of years. They died together, peacefully. Adam was carried up to heaven in the arms of angels, reached out to Eve for her to join him, but was unable to reach her. Eve was left behind as she never really counted as a human, being part of Adam and having an incomplete soul. Adam was alone in heaven. That's why Lute was created, a replacement. She was made with similar looks, a similar personality, and a very strong desire to please Adam. Maybe almost annoyingly so, but her presence there was to help him adjust to moving on. Adam couldn't just move on though. Being fiercely loyal and also incredibly one-minded, he started pondering for hours every day, filling his time with working out and enhancing skills, and generally staying away from any interaction. Lute didn't allow that, being made just for him especially, and she always tried to join in on whatever he was doing. All this unwanted attention and everything he had learnt on Earth made Adam more and more misogynistic in ideology, going from a fairly reasonable individual to considering women almost like separate creatures entirely. In order to get close to him, the impressionable Lute had changed herself in order to suit him better, agreeing with more and more of his reactionary ideals, and finally becoming something of a companion to him. Originally a blank slate, she eventually started to develop her own personality, becoming more jaded and less naive, and secretly started to despise Adam, being her one and only reason to exist, and yet ignoring her as a potential romantic interest. Thousands of years passed, and Hell's population grew. Adam became aware of this, and reached out to Heaven's judge, Sarah, in order to privately enact a hell-wide purge, led by him and a handful of angels he could personally oversee the creation of, and Lute, of course, as his second in command. And so began Adam's new obsession. Time not spent exterminating sinners was spent thinking about how to punish them, training the army, constantly vying to let out his centuries of frustration and his hatred of himself for failing to catch his one true love. Lute was very much in a similar boat, constantly training and also sneaking down to hell by herself, on a mission to eliminate sinners on Adam's behalf. This is what led to her advanced hell rot, which turned her grey and physically unable to remove her helmet. This extra effort remained unnoticed by Adam, whose attention was more firmly focused on himself. Then, something unexpected occurred. A sinner, from the bowels of hell itself, had become risen. This changed everything for Adam. He had killed and planned to kill people who were capable of change, who may not have even fully deserved their eternal punishment. He got to talking to the sinner and even started to empathize with them. Lute couldn't have any of this, understandably, having sacrificed her appearance for him, doing the exact thing he was about to end. It would have all been in vain. He planned to fly down as normal on Extermination Day, but instead of killing as he normally would, he would talk to Lucifer's spawn and understand what redemption there truly meant. He would even disband Extermination Days indefinitely. Lute's hatred grew. When the day came, Lute stabbed Adam fully through the lower stomach, and lost herself to hellrot, transforming into a demon of Lucifer's design. She was fought off, and Adam was taken into the hotel as a patient and also as a guest himself. Being a murderer of almost innocents had taken a toll on him, and he was looking to redeem his mistakes. On the other hand, Lute was not looking for any redemption, instead being dragged down into pride by Lucifer himself for his own reasons. Her hatred of humanity only grows, directly encouraged by Lucifer. And that's it for Lute and Adam. Thank you for watching. My Discord is open, where you can look at my comics, which I think are very cool. Shout out to these people on my Discord who have made fan art. If you'd like to see more HAZBIN Reimagined stuff before the rest of my subscribers, consider joining my YouTube members. A huge thank you to them. I couldn't do this without you. Shout out to my Wraith member, Queen of Smiles 98. Okay, bye.